We build our resume through our work. We build our life through our human connections. I'm MB. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the Intentional Pivot Vlog, where we're going to be diving into epic bucket number 3, networking or human connections. Since entering the in-between space myself every morning right after my personal wellness regime, I open my ClickUp app and I go to my project plan. It's most effective to remember, as I've talked about in weeks past, that pivots are just like projects that need to be managed like they are an important initiative, which of course they are. And that within each one of those projects are those epic buckets. And so that's just a shout out, of course, to Agile methodology, but they contain the subtasks, which are often really just glorified checklists. Today's focus, bucket number 3, which is really my big passion because it talks about networking and human connections. And this one captures probably the biggest social topic of the day right now, which is people versus technology. And why is all the buzz going around right now? Because of the onset specifically of AI, that human versus machine is such a hot topic and everybody's talking about it. Many of them don't really know a lot about it, but they're still like talking about it. But what do we know? One thing that AI absolutely cannot do is they can't build personal relationships. That's on us. And so the number 3 focus today for the major bucket in my plan for intentional pivot strategy is really about reclaiming relationships because we often neglect people when we're busy building our careers. And it isn't through like a lack of care or affection, but rather it's through a lack of contact and just communication in general. Because during the in-between, though, when we come into this space, what was between what was and what will be, we have a golden opportunity here to reconnect because our calendars have some empty spaces in them for once, and filling them up with humans, of course, can be a really, really precious gift. And I'm doing that right now with you, lovely person. And so please click subscribe below and join me for a bit. I'd be so honored to have you walk with me. I just can't say it enough, actually. But let's roll up our sleeves for today and let's unpack the strategic approach to this topic because this subtask in particular can be one of the most challenging ones during your entire pivot. Because we can, I know we do, myself, become victims of the velocity trap. So what is the velocity trap? It's high performers, and often our high performance creates high isolation as well. So high performance often creates high isolation. In other words, during the times that we are intensely working, we get out of balance and we create our own void, which can really result oftentimes in neglecting that long-term relationship health in people that we really care about. I know it happens to me. I am moving so fast. I often don't make time for people, and I'm not always a great friend. Sometimes I'm not a great family member, often, and not a great community builder. Try as I might to do better. Once I engage in the next, what's next, after pivoting, I admit I still struggle. Now, I have made good progress over time, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. The 3 steps that I apply to networking that really have made a difference both in and out of life's pivots. So now it's probably a good time to call this out. I come from the land of network marketing. I built a personal network over a 10-year period to replace my corporate salary and stay home and raise our children. Pivoting to the corporate side, I have 2 decades of executive experience helping companies scale to over $1 billion in annual revenue, alongside of who? The best independent network marketing professionals in the world, bar none. Truth. And so working with them to design sales systems, duplication models, incentives, compensation, et cetera. There are 3 things that I've learned, not just from my personal experience, but from watching these brilliant mastermind geniuses, watching and observing that whether you're in a pivot right now, you should be able to take some of these suggestions and enhance what you're already doing because the chances are you're already, doing something. But even if you're not in a pivot right now, chances are very good you will be at some point. So I hope you find them helpful. Networking step number 1, actively build your network today, not tomorrow, today. So again, pivoting or not pivoting, find a way to exchange and capture new contacts and their information in a way that is comfortable for you. Converting those brief interactions to planned activity, it can be really, really awkward at first, especially if you're not a professional and you haven't done it before. It's just a little awkward. And it becomes, well, it's more becoming a lost art now as our personal skills become less and less. But I feel like if there's somebody that you meet and you want to be connected, you've got to find a way to take some steps. So for myself, I really kind of put people into two buckets when I'm meeting them for the first time, or maybe just, I finally got up the courage to talk to them, whatever that case may be. And some of them are warmer than others, right? So if they're warm, once we've had a conversation, I actually just hand them my phone. And I ask them to put themselves in my phone. And I say that way I can text you so we can continue a conversation sometime. Again, not putting any pressure on it, letting them know I just hope to be connected. So handing the person a phone, that's a pretty hard one to turn down. More the cooler ones, the ones you're not really quite sure about, I just share my social handles with them when I meet them, give them Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. Because last week we talked a lot about why our personal brand is so important. Here's why, because this is where vibe checking happens. It's where technology comes into play. So people can say, huh, is this person somebody I, really want to be connected with? Or for us, maybe it's somebody that, we don't really want to take the relationship any further. And it's just sort of a time to kind of feel each other out that way. And I know there's a lot of great apps now. You might be just cringing listening to me right now going, oh my gosh, Meredith, we're so far advanced of that. But in any case, it's something that has to work for you because your contact list, it's a living, breathing document and it's an asset and you own it and it connects you to the human race. And so it's the most important thing because going back to building those bridges that connects you to that human race, it's yours to build. So if you have any ideas, suggestions, please comment down below. But here's a real life example. So I'm on a flight and I'm coming back recently from an event, and I had just stepped down from my most recent position. I was seated next to the most incredible woman. She was brilliant. She was gifted. She was doing all kinds of philanthropic efforts. I mean, really incredible. And she lives like an hour from my house. And so at the end of the flight, I did that, kind of, it's a low stake ask. I'm not really asking for anything besides just can we stay connected? And it was easy, it was such a pleasure sitting next to you. My goodness, I would love to stay connected. Would you put yourself in my phone so that we can talk again sometime? She was like, sure. So I immediately texted her, we are connected, and we've chatted a couple of times. Maybe it'll amount to something, maybe it won't. But no matter what your occupation or your interests are, everyone, every person, even if you're not in direct sales, you may be in real estate, something else. We all need a human network made up of human people connections. It's a lot like a computer network. What does a computer network do? It connects to apparatuses. It connects to technology so that what? Information can flow back and forth. And that's what people do. We talk, we chat, and information flows back and forth. And that way, we can form relationships. And that's why right now in our society, there are so many conversations about isolationism and depression that's coming because we're not connected. This is why these skills are so important. And so if you're struggling right now in your pivot with isolation, this is something that you can do because when your phone stops ringing and your calendar is empty and former colleagues that you're trying to reach out to, maybe to have lunch or just chat, don't have time, you got to get back out there. It's all part of being the human race. So I really encourage you to do your best. Just step out of your comfort zone and say yes, maybe to some network opportunities. Network step number 2 is really organizing those contacts. And so there's so many methods to categorizing your contacts. When I went into the pivot, I set up a new Outlook. Some people prefer Google, but this is like breathing in and breathing out to me. So I set that up. And as I engaged with it, I've got 1,465 contacts in my phone, but not everybody is warm, right? And so as people responded to my reach outs and texts, that's when I set them up in my Outlook because the database that I'm building for my what's next is different. And I need to know who is actually interested in what's happening. And so they're color coded for me into categories: family, friends, authors, marketers, colleagues, executive services, etc. And that's because in this 180-degree pivot that I'm doing, I need to be super intentional about identifying, who's connecting with the next chapter of my life. And the same is true for you too. And there are some people that we connect with more naturally, but looking into the what will be, you just have to look at what makes sense and who makes sense to be there in my corner, and who will get some value from what I'm focusing on and doing now. So I've worked in many different companies over my career. So many staff members, that were by my side for years through thick and thin. But I think, I was thinking about how many out of my last companies that I've worked for, what is the average? It's about 10 contacts that I stay in touch with per company. And so again, we have to prioritize these. And just another illustration from current day, from last week, actually, I'm writing a book. And so the book is about the impact of technology and the art of being human, essentially. And so because it's what I'm working on right now, I'm confident because of what I've done in the past that this will add value. And so to ensure that I've chosen the right chapters, I wanted to send out a text. It was advised by my agent. Why don't you just text some of your people, get your finger on the pulse and see, if it's going to be relevant. And so I didn't want it to look like spam. So I just sent out individual texts one by one to people that I thought might be interested. I said, hey, some I had to apologize right up front. It's been a minute. But I wanted to say hello, and I wanted to share news about the book and see if they would complete a 3-minute survey about the relevance of the chapters that I was thinking of moving forward with. And I tried to make it authentic, be very one-on-one. It's face-to-face. Face is my favorite. And so I started out just sending 25 texts a day. Well, about 10% of the people responded. So again, move them over to my Outlook, those who did. Some I was really surprised, happily, and some not so happily. I know I had one response from someone I thought was a friend, and she responded with one word, 4 letters, STOP. And I was like, oh, and I didn't actually know what to do at the time. So I asked AI, do I respond to this and say, absolutely, I'm so sorry I bothered you? The people pleaser came out real quick. And AI said, yeah, no, the best thing is just to let it go. And I went, oh, okay. So that's the do nothing strategy. So I just deleted her from my phone, and I love her. It's just was a little shocking. So in any case, you don't know what you're going to get. But then I had some people that I really didn't know, I hadn't talked to for years, that were like, oh my gosh, and they're doing amazing things. So I think that leads us in, though, is that you're going to have to find your footing on how you build your database for your what's next. But step number 3, and finally, establishing trust by cultivating relationships. This is a tough one because, I felt so compelled at the beginning of the year to really go back to a lot of these people. And this is before I knew that a pivot was actually going to be coming up. I knew it was probably imminent, but I didn't know that it was happening. And so the goal of having, one family conversation for 15 minutes and one personal friend conversation for 15 minutes every week might not sound like a lot to you, but for me at the beginning of the year, it was taking on something that I wasn't doing before. It was huge, but it prepared me for where we are today. Now, of course, being in a pivot, the weekly goal intensifies that to more like one a day. And whether it's lunch, whatever it may be, but making sure that you're starting to have those conversations now so that when the time comes and you're pivoting, or you just want to reach out or really, get close to some people you haven't been in touch with in a while, it's not awkward. And it doesn't feel strange because you're not coming into the conversation after years away with an ask. So time passes so quickly, my friends. I cannot tell you, it really, really goes by. So in closing, there's one thing I've learned from 30 years in the career network marketing field, and that's on both sides of the fence. And that is the one thing, is that where the rubber really meets the road in life, it's about building trust and building relationships. So my people, let's use this in between to move forward towards our what's next. And let's do that with purpose. If this message resonates with you, please click the like button and subscribe down below. And remember, the truest thing about you is what God says about you. You are uniquely and wonderfully made. Until next week, when we talk about epic bucket number 4, social media, do everything with love. Thanks. See you soon.